What if Double Experience Weekend turned into Double Experience Week? That's the question we are going to be talking about in this video today, so grab a cup of tea, sit back and enjoy. Double Experience Weekend is an event that happens 2 times a year, usually occurring in both February and September. As the name gives away, Double Experience Weekend lasts an entire weekend, meaning that it's 3 days long, adding up to a total of 6 days of Double Experience per year. But what if, instead of having 2 Double Experience Weekends per year, we have 1 Double Experience Week? Well, for starters, we would need a certain date, a time of year where Double Experience Week would take place. Now, usually the time of year where the most potential players would be off from school or work would be the summer. But the summer holidays start at different dates around the world, so we'd have to take the middle of the summer. Personally, I think the best month to organize Double Experience Week would be the month of July. So now that we have a date, we should start looking into what would happen if there indeed would be a Double Experience Week in the summer. The first thing we will be covering is the player base and how it will affect the amount of players online in the game. Now, I do think this is common knowledge, but the Runescape free player base is always at its peak during Double Experience Weekend. Despite this, year after year, I always see comments of people complaining that they have no time to play during the Double Experience Weekends because of work, going out, or having some other kind of activity going on. Now, with a Double Experience Week in the summer, that should be less of an issue, and it would most definitely make the Runescape free player base peak even more than ever, as more players would be able to attend the Double Experience Week, not only because of Double Experience Week, but it would be in the summer, and that would mean more people are off from work or from school, and it would last an entire 7 days. So yes, Double Experience Week would definitely have a massive impact on the Runescape free player base. As many of us know, a normal Double Experience Weekend has an enormous amount of impact on the RS economy. Once Double Experience Weekend is announced, the prices rise. Take this chart of the Water Talisman as an example, an item that is always used like a every Double Experience Weekend. Once Double Experience Weekend is announced, it rises up rapidly, then goes down a bit as people have stocked up on supplies, and then it stays at a high price during the Double Experience Weekend. Then afterwards the item crashes down like a rock falling off a cliff, because everybody is selling their leftover supplies and massive amounts are being dumped into the Grand Exchange, and there is very little to no demand for them after Double Experience Weekend. Now, if there was a Double Experience Week, people would be aware that they would have 7 full days to train skills, meaning that they would have twice the amount of time to grind all their skills compared to a normal Double Experience Weekend. The announcement alone should see even more rapid increases of various items in price, maybe even double the price that it would usually peak at during Double Experience Weekend. But that's just my speculation. This would also be the greatest item sync week of the entire year, as tens of thousands of RuneScape players would be training their skills. Take Herblore as an example. I can imagine there is too little supply of certain potions in the game, as so many people would be training Herblore and using up unfinished potions or other potions like super potions to create combination potions, possibly making the price peak of certain items even higher than the item is worth on Double Experience Weekends normally. Now, you may think health is a topic which might not be relevant for Double Experience Week, but I think otherwise. With Double Experience Weekend, a lot of people already play more hours a day than they usually do, and some take it a little further, changing their sleeping schedule to their advantage for RuneScape hours, and some even take it so far that they barely sleep for the entire weekend, which is extremely unhealthy. And it's also extremely rare, but this can actually result in death. There are a small amount of documented deaths caused by playing video games for too long worldwide, but they do happen. Usually the death is caused by the heart stopping because the body has been in one position for way too long. Anyways, I do not want to get into the biology of deaths by video games in this video, as that is not my place. My point is, with Double Experience Week, the extremes would be thrown even further by some players, and this may result in some burnouts, stress, sleeplessness, and even cardiac arrest, aka death. Players need to take breaks every few hours. Stand up, walk around, go outside for a walk, or make some new tea. The next point I want to cover is achievements. Like said in the health section of the video, with players taking it to the extreme to get experience gains, players will be playing longer than usual on double experience week, meaning that people would be gaining more experience, more 99s, and therefore it might devalue the achievements achieved in double experience week, as a player could possibly do all the buyables in that 1 week if they were very efficient and know what they are doing. Or a player could just get a ridiculous amount of experience in one skill. Now this could be a problem, as players might not train any skills whatsoever and just focus on making money and gathering supplies until the summer comes around. When the double experience weekend starts, they will smash out most of the 99s they want to do. And that would be very easy, as it's double experience, obviously. Costing less, taking less time, etc. Now, instead of training 99s normally, this would have an impact on the activeness of the Irish player base outside of the double experience week. At least I would think so. That's at least if they do not mind to wait all the way to the summer instead of training immediately. Now this could be seen as a problem in Jagex's eyes, but I'm not sure. Now let's get into a controversial but essential topic to cover on double experience week: the revenue for Jagex. Ultimately, Jagex will profit from the double experience week, as a lot of players already renewed their membership for double experience weekend, so double experience week would be probably the same. And they may or may not stick with the membership afterwards if they've enjoyed the game and are suddenly motivated to train even more, which would then be more revenue for Jagex. Now, I suspect a double experience week would only attract even more players than double experience weekend would, having an impact on Jagex revenue. Another thing that Jagex could do is implement a special promotion during the double experience week, which would then last the entire week. Now, I'm not trying to give them ideas, but we all know how Jagex is with the microtransactions or treasure hunter promotions. Now, just as an example, they could make an event lasting the entire week that would reward you for achieving certain experience thresholds with new cosmetics, or alternatively you could pay and get all the rewards instantly. This is just like most of the other events they do. They could also implement a simple treasure hunter promotion with items that would boost your experience in any skill by a few % for a few hours or an hour. At the end of the day, I'm sure Jagex would do something to profit off of this event if they would implement double experience week. You may or may not even think about the free-to-play community while getting your gains in the members' worlds, but on double experience weekends the free-to-play community also gets on for longer periods of time to get some experience gains. Sadly, free-to-play players only get 20% bonus experience, meaning that they have a 1.2 times experience multiplier, while members get a 2.0 times multiplier. Bonuses excluded, of course. I personally know a lot of people that AFK their alts that aren't members on double experience weekend in free-to-play, just to get that little bit more of experience that they would usually be getting by AFKing skills like firemaking or fletching, which are both free-to-play. With an entire week of double experience, I do think more players would focus on getting a bond beforehand to take advantage of the entire 7 days instead of just doing the free-to-play double experience weekend or week with just 20% bonus XP, resulting in even more players being on the member worlds at one time. Now, some people with alts that are free-to-play might feel the need for double experience week to make them members just to get those extra gains while training their main, doing something AFK at the same time. Now, I know I would do that. I mean, come on, 7 days of double experience. There's just so much you can do on your main account and alt account at the same time, or even multiple alt accounts at the same time, being mass logging. That is just being efficient, in my opinion. I want to conclude this video by giving my opinion on this idea or hypothetical event. I personally think it would be a very interesting event to attend, and it would hype up the community like no other event ever has, but at the same time cause some uproar in players that would think it would be too overpowered, or Ironmen that think it would be extra unfair towards them, and it would pretty much make the gap between Ironmen and normal players largely different. Which is why I think Double Experience Week should replace Double Experience Weekend if implemented, as otherwise there would be a total of 13 days of Double Experience Weekend in a year, or Double Experience Days, which might just be a tad too much. Alternatively, Jagex could just implement a third Double Experience Weekend somewhere in July. At the end of the day, this is just an idea and it will most likely never make it into the game, unless a Jagex moderator is watching this video and is thinking to himself, this is some good stuff. In that case, please make me a JMod and hire me.
I'm never gonna stop, yeah. One shot, that's all you got. Take it right now, before you get lost, yeah. One shot, that's all you got. Write your own story, you control the plot, yeah. One shot, that's all you got. Control